Member FDIC.
Hi, I'm Bob Raddings of the Bob Raddings family of dealerships. See our huge inventory of about 2,000 vehicles by clicking on our ad at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
WTIM. You're listening to the WTIM Morning Show on your information station. The show is sponsored by People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first. I'm your host, Reed Kimai, and we finish things off today with Matt Hart, the Executive Director of the Christian County Economic Development Corporation. Matt, thanks for coming in this morning.
Reed, great to be with you and the listeners as always. A lot going on in Christian County, and it's a fun time.
It sure is indeed, and we're going to talk about some of that right now. I want to start with the new numbers on jobs in Christian County, because it sounds like we have those numbers in. And Matt, take us through that.
Yeah, so I've had several business owners in town ask me about not only just recent jobs, but kind of the job history of Christian County. And so we took the liberty of going through some data from the Illinois Department of Employment Security, or IDES. That's a part of the state of Illinois, and they publish employment numbers on a quarterly basis. And so what we did is we actually went back through those reports over the last 25 years. And I thought it'd be just interesting to tell the listeners about, kind of what Christian County has done from a job standpoint. And if you go back 25 years ago, all the way back to 2001, back then Christian County had 11,249 workers, a little over 11,000 workers in the county. And we kind of held those levels. We bounced around between 10 and 11,000 for about 10 years, from 2001 to 2011. And then in 2011 and 2012 is when we started to see a little bit of drop off in Christian County. And we're not losing massive numbers of jobs in the county, but we are seeing kind of a steady, small but steady decline. And what we've done since 2011, when we peaked at over 11,000 jobs, today that's 9,000 jobs or 9,200 jobs. So in the county, we've lost about 2,000 workers, according to the Illinois Department of Employment Security, over the last 25 years or really even over the last 14, 15 years. Now, people will say, well, why is that? And part of that is just generational change. People aren't having as many kids. People are getting older. We have an aging demographic in the county. And of course, that the older you are, the less inclined you are to work. If you're retired, you're not going to be counted in these numbers. So, that's a part of it. But from an economic standpoint, you look at that and you go, okay, well, if the people who are employed are paying the taxes in this county, if you look at it just from these numbers from the Illinois Department of Employment Security, today in 2025, 2026, we've got about 9,000 workers who are paying all the taxes in this county, versus we had 11,000 people who were helping to pay all the taxes, 15 years ago and 25 years ago. So, that's something that at the Christian County Economic Development Corporation, our main mission is jobs. Our mission is making sure that we protect the jobs that we have in the county. It's helping those employers that are here, but then also trying to attract new jobs to the county as well. And so in order to do that, we've got to stay on top of those employment numbers. And we'd like to get those numbers up. That's certainly, what we do. We're constantly out recruiting. I was at the Illinois Economic Development Association meeting in Chicago yesterday, talking with other folks about how we can get more jobs to our county. And that's really what we do at CCEDC.
And I know you've had some projects recently, like the Dollar General, the Sloan Implement. I think that was one that you folks have brought in a lot of jobs, and I've seen those locations as well. Yeah. Like, are you thinking that you have to kind of pick up the pace even further than that? What's kind of the outlook there? Oh,
absolutely. I mean, we're constantly trying to grow new jobs. Another example I like to use is E.L. Pruitt. E.L. Pruitt manufactures pipe in Christian County, in Taylorville. Now they bought the building on East Park Street. That's a company that wasn't here 2 years ago. They came in here, they bought a building, they made an investment. They've got about 20 employees now working out of that facility. Those are 20 employees that Christian County didn't have 2 years ago. And of course I want to find more and more of the E.L. Pruitts to come into Christian County and to build the business, expand their business. And that's that's what we do at the Christian County Economic Development Corporation. And that's why we take a look kind of at everything. And of course, we want to make sure that we've got good employers, and we also want to protect the employers that we already have, and we want to make sure that they've got everything that they need. And that's part of what we do at Christian County Economic Development Corporation. If we can help them out with the state of Illinois, if we can help them out with the legislation to try and help them grow their business. Our goal is three things. It's Christian County Economic Development Corporation. It's jobs, jobs, jobs. And we want to protect the jobs we have. We want to grow the employers we have, and then we want to bring the employers who aren't here yet.
All right, and that's what you folks are doing there. So some really interesting statistics there on jobs in Christian County from Matt Hart, the executive director of the Christian County Economic Development Corporation. I want to change gears now to a topic that I know is on a lot of people's minds, the data center. First, just I'd love to get kind of an update on where kind of we are at in terms of the talks on the data center and how that's going kind of with the county and with a lot of the other stakeholders involved.
Sure. Yeah. And well, I'll try to fit as much as I can in the short amount of time we have here. We could probably spend 2 full days talking about this, but yeah, if folks haven't seen yet, then yes, there's it's 2026 and we have cell phones, we have the internet, we have a technology that requires a lot of data. Anytime you turn on Netflix, or you turn on your television, you turn on your smartphone, if you go to a doctor's office, you go to a lot of businesses have their own data that they rely on. So data is a big thing in 2026, and there are now larger, massive, what most people refer to as a data center that are being built all across the country. And we do have a developer who looked at Christian County and they are proposing to possibly build a data center in Christian County. The company is called Eagle Rock Partners. Of course, they've spoken at the county board. The Christian County Economic Development Corporation hosted an open house with them to try to get more people to meet face to face with them so they could learn more about this project. They're calling it the Meridian Technology Park, and that's kind of the name that we're using now going forward. It's the Meridian Technology Park. And people are, if you don't know where it is, their location that they're looking at is in Christian County, just south of Taylorville. It's Clarksdale. Most people know if you travel Route 48 and you go south out of Taylorville, you go down across the South Fork River. When you come back to the top of the hill, that's Clarksdale. But what I tell people is that when you get to Clarksdale and you're on Route 48, all you have to do is look up and you'll see 2 very high voltage power lines. These are 345 kV transmission lines, which and I've learned this in the energy world, that those are massive power lines. And a data center, because a data center basically is just a bank of computers, they need a lot of electricity, they need a lot of energy. And so this is a very unique place, not only in Illinois, it's a very unique place in America where there are 2 high powered power lines that come together, and that's what drew the developer to this area, and so that's why they've taken a look at it. They're still working on their plan. Every detail that we've gotten, we've tried to get that out to the public. We know there's still more details to come. We had a 3.5 hour meeting with the county board a couple weeks ago, where the developer came in and took questions from the county board for an hour and a half, and also the public. I know there's a lot of questions and a lot of concerns out there with the public. They had their chance to talk to the county board as well, and at the end of the day, there's still a lot of questions that need to be answered. We haven't seen a formal proposal from them yet. I do know they're working on that. I don't know what's in that proposal, but once they do file that, the next process for them is they will have to file with the county for a zoning change, because the land that they're looking at right now is zoned agricultural. You can't put an industry on this land as it is zoned today. There has to be a zoning change. The county board ultimately is responsible for that zoning change. So, and not only will there be a vote from the county board, but there will also be, this will go before the zoning board. So there's a zoning board that will also take a look at this before it gets to the county board. So there's still plenty of opportunities for everyone to learn more about this. If you've got concerns about the data center, if you've got questions about the data center, I tell people, feel free to call me, the Christian County Economic Development Corporation. Our office is 217-565-2280. Feel free to give me, I'll answer any questions that I can answer. But right now we're trying to educate people just on, what is a data center? Why is this company looking here? What are their plans? And there's still a lot of details that we still need, but we're doing the best that we can to get information out to people about what this proposal is.
Yeah, and letting people know what it is all about, and the process as well, along with the location. And I know you had mentioned, I just want to understand this right. So it sounds like they saw the the transmission lines as it is currently at this very moment, and thought that, they could kind of use that, maybe add to it if need be, kind of in that location, it sounds like.
Yeah, absolutely. It's again, it's data centers used to require a lot of things. Water, and I know water is a very touchy subject. Data centers today in 2026 do not use the amount of water that data centers used 30 years ago when they were first building data centers. They use a closed loop cooling system because you have a big building full of computers that generates a lot of heat, right? They have found ways to cool those without using the massive amounts of water. In fact, any of the major developers today will not use a water cooling system. They use closed loop systems because they want to be good stewards and not use up the water. So, but at the same time too, you want to make sure that you've got assurances that there won't be massive water use. I know that's a major question for people not only there but for people around the county who rely on the aquifer that is under this county. So that's something they've got to continue to work with the county to give those assurances. But it's the electricity is the big thing. You've got to have electricity when you power all these computers. You can't put a data center it's somewhere where there's no major power lines. You've got to have not only power lines, you've got to have these high voltage 345 kV transmission lines or bigger in order to deliver the amount of electricity that's required, so that when you jump on your phone and you want your data, that data center can get you that data that consumers want in 2026.
Yeah, and there's a lot that happens behind the scenes with that, and we're hearing about it from Matt Hart, Executive Director of the Christian County Economic Development Corporation. And we'll have more to talk about with the data center on the other side of a break, which we'll take right now here on the WTIM Morning Show on your information station.
Your information station, WTIM.
It's now on the RFD Radio Network. I'm Jim Taylor. Corn, beans, and Chicago wheat higher at this hour. July corn up to $4.09. September corn up 2.5, $4.18 and December corn $4.38 up 3.5. July beans up 10.5, $11.19 August beans up 11.5, $11.28 November beans 11.47 up 12.5. July Chicago wheat 5.87 up 1.25. July KC wheat is up 2.619 July bean meal, $306.60 up $3. July bean oil, $69.55 up 9 cents. Livestock trade August feeders, $370, $365 up 72 cents. June live cattle up 47 cents, $256.47. July lean hogs, $93.02 down 82 cents. Energy market August Brent crude oil, $74.07 up 33 cents. This is the RFD Radio Network.
Hey you, it's Amanda McKay, the Director of Human Resources at Kimmer Village. Kimmer Village is hiring for residential techs now. We offer competitive pay, full benefits, paid time off, tuition assistance, and a retirement plan that invests in you. Here you're not just clocking in, you're building a future for yourself, your family, and mentoring the youth we serve. Apply today at kimmervillage.org.
When you buy and service with Trinity Automotive, you're getting more than a vehicle. You're getting peace of mind every mile. Our award-winning service department is backed by certified technicians who know your vehicle inside and out, so you can drive with confidence. Trinity is also commercial and business link ready with heavy-duty equipment and lifts to handle even the toughest jobs. And for extra convenience, enjoy free pickup and delivery within 30 miles when you buy your vehicle here. So come see us right off Route 29 in Taylorville or shop online anytime at trinitydodge.net.
Hi, everyone. Nicole Patrick here, your local country financial representative at 1305 West Bresser in Taylorville. I'm proud to recognize the Tornado student athletes that represent our community by being the exclusive sponsor of the WTIM Nicole Patrick Country Financial Player of the Game. During Tornado Sports broadcasts this school year, WTIM announcers will select a player at the end of each game who will receive a certificate for being named our Player of the Game. Good luck to all the teams this season, and go Tornadoes!
Parents, your Christian County Health Department at 730 North Pawnee in Taylorville offers back-to-school immunizations at little or no cost for kindergarten, 6th, 11th, or 12th grade. Get details by clicking their icon at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
At First National Bank in Taylorville, switching banks isn't a hassle. It's easy by real people who care. Find out why they've been first every time for over 70 years. by clicking their icon at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
Your information station, WTIM.
Welcome back to the WTIM Morning Show on your information station, and it is sponsored by People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first. I'm your host, Reed Kamai, and I continue my conversation with Matt Hart, Executive Director of the Christian County Economic Development Corporation, and we talked about the recent job numbers in the county, as well as some conversation as well on the proposed data center in Christian County. And I want to stick with the data center. There's been some talk about what it would look like in terms of jobs, and what are the numbers you folks are expecting?
Yeah, so the developer has said when they build this, what they are expecting is they're expecting over 1,000 construction jobs, because as you can imagine, when you build a 475-acre campus and you put up 10 buildings, there's a lot of construction. They've got to put in a substation for the electricity to service this. A lot of other, they're going to put berms in so that there's a 20-foot berm basically around the entire perimeter. So there will be a lot of construction work that will go on there. They have told us that they expect, and as they told the county board, over 1,000 construction jobs as they build this out over 5 to 7 years. After everything is built out, they're expecting that there will be about 500 people working in this facility. And again, these are their numbers, but they estimate that there'll be 10 different buildings there. Each one of those buildings is going to require 50 or more people to work in there, whether it's working there and keeping, replacing old computers, putting in new computers, repairs, maintenance, security, as well as just the administrative jobs that go in there. But that's what Eagle Rock Partners has said, that they estimate there'll be over 500 long-term jobs that would come out of there, and which is one of the reasons why we're taking a look at it at Christian County Economic Development Corporation. We haven't taken any position on the data center because we haven't seen the proposal, but we're certainly when someone comes to town and says that we're looking at possibly bringing 500 jobs, you want to take a really a good look at that, but also a long look at that, and make sure that this is a good employer, and that these are real jobs that we are going to have here, and they'll be good long-term jobs. And so that's where we're at today. But that's, this has the potential of really being a big boost if everything, pans out, as they say, a big boost to the economy in Christian County.
Yeah, and I want to ask about those jobs because, essentially 1,500 jobs total you mentioned, not at the same time, of course, but, 1,500 jobs, and, at face value, that could take you back over 10,000 total in the county. Now, a big complaint from a lot of people really throughout the world about artificial intelligence is that it has automated away a lot of jobs. Now, could that lead to a drop in Christian County or beyond in the long term, and how could that affect the CCEDC's overall job goals?
Yeah, and that's what we're looking at. From what we have seen, at least so far, yes, there will be, these are basically just buildings full of computers, right? But those computers have to be replaced, and they replace those computers, and the technology in these buildings, has about a 3 to 5 year lifespan max, where you've got to put in new microchips, put in new computers, new data devices that go in there. Then of course there's also there's the maintenance. You've got a 475 acre campus, someone's got to mow that, someone's got to maintain it, someone's got to maintain the buildings, and so we know there'll be some of those jobs. Then we know there'll be the admin jobs too. So that's what we're looking at, and which is also why we're looking at other data centers. We're trying to find out from other data centers, are you getting everything that was promised to you? And so when you look at data centers that are in Illinois, most of the data centers are in Chicago. They're in Chicago, they're in Elk Grove Village, they're in Hoffman Estates, but there's one in DeKalb, Illinois, and DeKalb, Illinois looks a little bit more like Christian County. It's a little bit more rural. I actually had because I was at the Illinois Economic Development Association meeting in Chicago this week, I ran over to DeKalb and actually looked at their data center. And I will tell you, when I looked at it, I didn't really know what to expect. I was very interested to see that it's in the middle of a bunch of cornfields. But from everything that I could see and hear, by the way, because I also, I've been told these are very loud. You did not hear noise. In fact, you heard more birds chirping than you did from anything from this facility. And I would encourage people, as we're looking at data centers and we're trying to evaluate if for people who are concerned and want to know what it looks like, if you happen to be in Northern Illinois and you're near DeKalb, it's very easy to get to. It's at I-88 and Peace Road. Just go south about half a mile and you'll see this data center. If you want to see what one of these looks like, but that's what we're evaluating right now at CCEDC.
All right. So a lot of considerations there, and it's good to hear about them from Matt Hart, Executive Director of the Christian County Economic Development Corporation. Matt, thank you.
Thanks.
And thank you for listening here to the WTIM Morning Show on your information station. Have a good day.
The Big 870 WTIM Assumption Taylorville.
96.1 FM Taylorville.
107.5 FM Shelbyville.
107.9 FM